Welcome back to the Daily Sketchbook video series. Taking the first head I did here, just a kind of a block in of a skull with most of the flesh filled in. And I'm going to try something different here. I'm going to run this at ×3 speed. So this is about a 26-minute setting, and I'm going to do it ×3 so that you can see quickly. A lot of the basic movement when you're going to do a new design is done with the grab tool or the move tool. So just grabbing your mass and kind of pushing out all of the core shapes. So in this case, I'm looking at the bony protrusions and the framework under the head. So I'm kind of squishing and playing with shapes. So I really want you to try doing this once you get a couple base shapes you're happy with. Try and do a quick detail pass. So for this one, I'm going to try and do something a little scary. I was thinking of like a Joker type of head. So you see I'm just using the regular brushes here, the draw brush and the crease brush. Remember, crease typically does a sharp line down inside of it, and then if you hit Alt, it'll bring the sharp line out. And I'm pulling out some points here. I was looking at doing maybe some spikes, but then I think as I'm pulling these out, I was thinking, okay, I'll make like maybe a scraggly, scary beard. I was almost thinking like Davy Jones, Locker, kind of a something between seaweed and tentacles type of shapes. But that's the power of Sculptress and Sculptress mode in ZBrush once we start doing this in ZBrush. Pulling out the bony protrusion some more, using just a regular old draw brush and filling in the space. Sometimes I should hit D for draw a second time to get it to do clay mode. And then getting into flatten and kind of get those temple regions, which always seem to get rounded. Really important to get those temple flatten areas pushed in the side there. And then when you're doing the brow region, if you're going to make something scary, Joker type smile, bringing down the furrowed brow, as it's called, pushing in the narrow portion of the bridge of the nose is really, really thin. So kind of pushing that in. And then getting to the eye socket and filling the eye socket in with the flesh that goes around the eyeball, not just plunking an eyeball in there. Although you can, masking it out, holding down C, Control, and then Control tap the empty space to reverse the mask, and then Control slide an empty space to clear the mask. So using the masking tool is going to be one of the most important digital tricks you have. Again, using the crease tool to bring that sharp edge up, make some planar changes, and then the regular crease tool to get behind the nostril, and then crease with Alt to bring up the cartilage. Same thing for the eyebrow, so regular draw, kind of fill in the mass, and crease tool with the opposite to bring in the edges of the eyelid, the tear duct. So let's see, right now, I'm about 10 minutes in, I would say, of real time. And using the flatten again to sharpen some of those changes. You really want to use flatten a lot to keep some fun basic shapes in there and not let your sculpt get too lumpy. Once more, I got to really push in that temple region as it goes up into the skull case, skull cap, that larger area, then bringing that in, pulling up your reference, checking the that casing that goes around the brain. You want to really make sure that's done right. And then for this particular speed sculpt, I think I spend a bit more time playing with the grab brush with the infinity clay that is Sculptress. That's beautiful. So it's just pulling extra triangles. Now at this point, it's still symmetrical. You want to be really careful. I would turn symmetry off here after a bit. But you don't want your hair to look perfectly symmetrical unless it's like super stylized, like cartoony. But for realistic hair, it's having all the waves and locks going different directions. But I kind of want to pull this out, maybe use the inflate brush. There you go. It's, I believe, C on the keyboard, along with the grab brush. So I'm inflating to kind of expand out. If those triangles get too thin, they will collapse in on themselves and begin to get real jagged. So inflate with a shift with the smooth to kind of even those out a little bit. and then constantly using the bracket keys for this one to make the brush the right size for what I need. There we go. And then with those little sharp tips, I'll just keep pulling, using shift to smooth it out a little bit, looking at it from underneath, looking at it from the top down, which I probably should do even more of. There we go, shift to smooth. And kind of feeding those shapes up into the skull, into the body, into the jaw. So making these kind of more part of his body and less hair-like, like almost more like appendages. Thought that'd be fun. So again, opposite of the crease tool, bringing the ridge up and then right next to it, push down, and you get a really great surface change. So when I added these on, it was becoming a little bit more strand-like or hair-like, but I could easily uh, pivot with this concept on a dime and do variants of it and make it look like seaweed or tentacles. And that's what concept art's all about, is exploring, pushing shapes, playing with ideas. It's not about making one perfect design and calling it done. There's some little knuckles, a little thicker and thinner as it goes up. And then the old Thanos lines up into the lower lip. Go back up to the head. I'm kind of thinking about, okay, do I really want to play with the eye a little bit more? And it's kind of flat, so you want the fly to arc kind of outward around the eyeball. So if playing with the arc flow, like making sure the arc's coming out, going the right direction, doing a little bit of the eye socket, and then filling in that flesh above the eyelid is important as well. See, I'm getting close to being done here. I'm about 6 minutes of real time. There we go. I'm pulling the arc forward using the grab brush. So you want to make sure all of your arcs are going in the right direction. Eyelid can't curve backwards, right? Into the skull. It's got to come outward and go around. So now I turned symmetry off, and so that way I could play with the hair cap. And these are speed sculpts, right? So there's no right or wrong. That's what I really want to impress on everyone out there. This is so vital. Like if I sat down and did this and spent 2 or 3 hours and made every design piece of it perfect, it slows you down as a designer. And I can get to that point, all these ideas in free form. Now I'm making it really asymmetrical, so I'm pulling out one side down at the beard as well as up on the head, making sure that getting rid of any signs of symmetry. At the end of the finish line, it's a good thing to do with the speed sculpt to make it as very asymmetrical as much as you can. Any the muscles in the cheek, the bone, definitely hair, like we talked about, strands. There's no way you're gonna have all the tentacles or strands identical on each side, right? It look kind of goofy if it was like that. The length might be vary. So yeah, bringing some of them up, pulling some of them down, maybe changing some of those curve directions. But for right now, I'm just touching it. So you just want to touch, 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 and maybe define the hairline a bit more. The scalp line is usually a good idea. That's really what that frames the face where the hairline is, like how you want that to kind of read. And getting close to done here. I'm just going to cover his ears for now. I don't feel like getting in there. You can hint at. You want to make sure the volume. So if he does have ears, I want to make sure the volume of the hair goes over the ear. So you want to hint at it and make sure it doesn't look like there's no ear there because the hair is too close to the skull. And so yeah, just very fast, bigger crease brushes. So pulling up and then alt pushing down. I see my alt keys constantly. I'm really bringing the ridges up. I could have just hit the X key to invert it instead of holding alt constantly, but that's all right. And then making sure there's some directionality to the hair, some kind of cowlick or radial direction, kind of some sort of flow with the direction of the skull, like how that would go down. Down the last 30 seconds here. There we go. Let's see. And yeah, just getting that hair on those last surface changes where the light's going to be. I think that's what's important here. And there you go. There's the first kind of secondary pass you could do on your base head in Sculptress, using that initial head to really just make up a design. And I think that was pretty successful. I think it's pretty creepy. I could easily go in and give him fangs or teeth or actual tentacles, maybe exposed coming out from underneath. I did neglect the ear. I think I was going to have the ear maybe poking out of the hair. But overall, that's one sitting, about 20 something minutes and sped up for you. And so I'm going to go on to the next one and just do another one and see where these designs take you. All right, see you in the next Speed Sculpt video.